Welcome to the Courage to Live podcast. My name is Josh Bitsko. I'm a retired police captain in Las Vegas with 24 years of experience. Currently, I travel the country and I teach law enforcement, first responders, and leaders courage, resilience, and leadership. Today, in this Courage Cast podcast, we're going to talk about fight, flight, and freeze and how to train for all three. Now, we all know fight or flight. That's a common term used, especially when talking about fear, when something happens in front of you. But what's often left out is the freeze. And I have a longer podcast coming out soon about the freeze, but we're going to talk about in this short podcast all three and how to train for each one. So we train to fight, right? We either through defensive tactics as police officers, but always have taken it a step further. I'm big in jujitsu and I've done Muay Thai and stand up pretty much my entire life. And there is so many benefits of learning that skill. Yes, for self-defense, if something were to happen in front of you, I think it's important to know how to fight, know how to carry yourself in those situations. But there's something interesting that happened when I learned about, say, jujitsu, learned how to control another human being in that manner, is it carried over confidence levels into other aspects of my life, whether that was interpersonal conflict, whether it's just even how I carried myself. So I do think it is important to learn how to defend yourself, but again, it just carries over into so many other aspects of life and confidence. The next is flight. Now, I'm not saying that we train just to run away. When I talk about fight or flight in this aspect, anything that's happening under stress, whether it's in life or business, I more talk about how to have a plan. And, so maybe your plan isn't always to fight. Sometimes it has to be. That decision is made for you. But in that flight, you can train to have a plan. And a perfect example of this is, in law enforcement, you show up on a barricade where somebody inside the house refusing to come out and they're suicidal. And you're having communication with them. Let's say they have a weapon, maybe they don't. You don't know if they're in a house. You never know for sure if they're armed or not. But there's a kitchen with knives and there are weapons available to them. So in that situation, it can be stressful, but sometimes having the plan, and the plan is, hey, we're only going to escalate this situation by being present. So if that nobody else is in danger in this specific situation, part of that plan is to back out and not push that issue. But again, I just talked to my kids the other day because of the tragic active shooter at the school in Minneapolis, and I was talking to them on what to do if they hear shooting in the school. And yes, if you're in a classroom, and we had this long conversation, if you're in a classroom, the teacher locks the door, you're able to get low, okay, that can be the plan. But if you're outside at recess, we talked about, well, how to run. And what you need to do in that situation to be safe is continually running away from the gunfire until you're safe. So knowing that, that is an option, and knowing before it happens, that can prevent that freeze. Because I think human nature at times is, you get that deer in the headlight look, and there's a reason that that is replicated in nature is we all have these complex emotions inside of us that help drive our actions. And fear is a natural emotion that we have, and it's a survival instinct. It is, I am confronted with this dangerous situation, how do I need to respond? Or the fear is driving you to, make those decisions through cortisol, through adrenaline. Have more energy, and your body is like that coiled spring ready to go. And sometimes you need that little driver, whether it's training beforehand, whether it's a conversation with your parents about, what to do during an active shooter to kind of push action. And that action may be running. And the last is that freeze. Now, freezing is another natural human emotion. We've all seen it. Something bad is happening in front of a person and they just kind of lock up. And that can be combated through confidence and training, so you know what to do in those situations. And also, one of the things I talk about is leadership, somebody there to nudge you along to do what you need to do. And I coined a term, my wife and I, when we started this business, calling it tactical paralysis, especially in the law enforcement field. I have seen it where, officers will freeze up, and it's been shown in other active shooter situations around the country. You can look at, the active shooter in Uvalde, Texas, where you had officers and a leader that froze when they needed to take action. So ideally, we need to train, and not just train like what to do specifically, but also mental training for all three of these responses: fight or flight or freeze. And through that simple drills and stress inoculation techniques, training for specific scenarios, but also training for what you're going to feel like in different scenarios so you can replicate that emotion. So in law enforcement, that training often looks like simunition guns, which is they look like real guns, they feel like real guns, but they've been modified to shoot small soap rounds. And they hurt a little bit when you get shot with them. So you put yourself in a situation, be it an active shooter or a car stop or a person stop, and somebody starts shooting at you, and you have to return fire, and you recreate that stress response. So when it happens in real life, it's not foreign to you. So think about, in whatever field that you're in while listening to this podcast, how can you recreate these stressful situations for you so what you feel in those moments aren't isn't foreign to you. So whether it's, you're training for a presentation, public speaking, I know that's a big fear for people. Whatever decisions you have to make in the moment that you don't say have a lot of time to make, recreate those situations in safe spaces. So you know what it's going to feel like. You know what to expect. Basically, you're clearing up that mental energy that's taken up by, the emotional, like fight or flight or freeze, that feeling you have inside of you in those moments, and recreate it. So when you free up that space, when it happens for real, you make better decisions in those moments, and you're not going to allow the fear to make the decision for you. Thank you for listening to the Courage Cast today. If you liked anything that you heard, please either subscribe or share this with your friends. My goal is to get the message out there, and I can't do it without you guys. So thank you for spending some time with me today.